Welcome to Eye on the Illini. This is Mike Kegley with Brad Sturdy, Kedrick Prince. We are talking about the Illini's really destruction of the USC Trojans on Big Ten Network, 101-65. Brad, that was a butt kicking that you just don't usually see.
Yeah, that was pretty much, I don't know how to describe it more than that was belt to ass, right? That was it. I mean, there's nothing much more you can say. I don't know. And I don't know. I just don't know. I thought USC looked very unprepared and disinterested for much of the game. I really did. I just feel like they didn't have any kind of, uh, didn't have energy. They would try to get off it, but they didn't play smart. I just didn't think USC was ready to play, and Illinois was. Jake Davis comes out and nails a couple threes. Hummerkaus comes in, nails a couple threes, and then you're like trying to guard them. So then they tried to pressure him, and they just went to the rim and scored. But I'm telling you, the biggest change is still on the defensive end of the floor. If you take out some of those ticky-tack fouls USC got in the first half, and then the points they scored at the very end when it was like just playing out the string, Illinois defense was insanely good. They made everything difficult, shot clock violations, defended the rim, forced turnovers, which evidently is something people talk about. But overall, this was a great performance on that side of the ball too.
Kid,
You're right. It was a spanky, if you want to call it that. It was good, and I wasn't. I don't think any Illinois fan was expecting this. USC is a really good team, even though they're experiencing some injuries right now. I didn't see this. I mean, going on the road to put up 101 points on a tournament team that's looking to improve their resume, I didn't see that coming. But it was a great performance, and I don't want to jinx myself or the fans, but they went out to Oregon last year, if you remember, and did the same thing, and then they struggled against Washington the next game. So hopefully that doesn't happen this time. This is a different team. I certainly am aware of that, but I definitely want to see them come out in this West Coast trip 2-0, and then you have the time off to get prepared for Michigan.
yeah, I think that's good, and it was amazing to me what we saw from this game. Ken, I don't know about you, but I thought it was notable that we had Jake Davis and Ben Hummerkaus hit shots early, and my God, that was a tough. It was basically USC had a hard time even keeping up when those guys are hitting early on top of the rest of the team.
Well, you don't expect that from. I mean, you expect it, but not to that extent. What Jake Davis, what he did, and how he came out and got the ball rolling for Illinois early, that kind of helps set the tone. I think they're a different team when he's playing well like that. I really and truly do, and because it makes him tough to guard. I mean, it really does. And he's gotten a lot better on defense. I think the playing time has really helped him on both sides of the ball as well. I'm just, when you look at what's ahead of this team, and I guess it's hard to believe because you're used to seeing things differently. Thanks for letting me know because I made a change with my microphone, so I appreciate it for letting me know. I did make a change with that. Um, I'm just in awe. I don't know about you guys or our listeners. I'm in awe of the fact seeing this team execute like this. It's just weird because this is a type of team that in the past things that could go wrong, they haven't. And you look at their body of work really quick, you guys. They've just, I mean, you look back, they lost to Michigan State and to Wisconsin, and they have players missing. What would have happened? What the season would be like? Could they be ranked 3 or 4 in the country if they get those wins, or if Boswell plays at Michigan State?
Yeah,
Ken,
yep.
I'm not sure they wouldn't. I'm not sure they shouldn't be ranked top 5 right now. I mean, seriously. I mean, I think they're tracking. I think that if they win the games, UCLA Saturday night, win the game against Oregon at home, and then beat Maryland at Maryland, even if you lost to Michigan in a competitive game, you're on the 2 seed line at 25-6 and second in the Big Ten. If you beat Michigan, I think you're a 1 seed. I think if you win the other games, you beat Michigan, I think you're a 1 seed. And I think, they've moved up. They continue to climb. And over here, Brandon's talking about Ken Baum. They are dangerously close to Arizona for third on KenPom. They've vaulted ahead of Houston because they're winning games. They're not just winning games; they're dominating games, consistently winning, games, and their losses are all close losses. And so that means you dominate wins, you lose close, and you're going to have a great rating on KenPom and all the analytics. And then the net, they're going to be top 4 in the net, top 4 on KenPom. Man, it just looks really good. I think that the polls haven't quite caught up with it because, let's be honest, half of them don't even know what's going on in college basketball, the guys who do that stuff.
Well, so, Brad, I'm glad to hear you say that about Michigan. I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to seem arrogant, but I was going to tweet it, but I thought, because you're right, I think if they win all the rest of their games, I think they could possibly be a 1 seed. Then I thought, if you lose to Michigan and you beat the other 3 teams, you at least going to be guaranteed a 2 because Purdue lost again, and I think Illinois is going to take that spot. You just can't have any slip-ups. And I'm not the Big Ten tournament doesn't mean anything to me, but when you look at this team and you win 101-65 and, Stojakovic's been out for 2 games and he comes back off the bench and scores 22 points to lead the team in scoring. And, I mean, just a really, really good performance. And if you're a coach out there watching this, I just don't know how you defend them. I do think Michigan is athletic and they rebound like Illinois. I think it's going to be a hell of a chess match. This game, to me, the talent is going to be the same on the floor, and I'm not overlooking UCLA. Don't make the mistake. I'm thinking I'm doing that, but I'm just really looking forward to this game, especially if they went out of UCLA, fellas.
What do you guys think about Stojakovic coming off the bench? I kind of liked it. I think Davis starting spaces the floor and is nice. I like him coming off the bench and still playing the same minutes. I mean, he still played 24 minutes, right? Didn't he, or something like that?
Yeah. I'm going to be – Brad, God darn, it's like you're in my mind. I have mixed feelings on it. Right. I really do. I have mixed feelings because I've said, and you guys know, I'm a Jake Davis fan. I am. And I think he spreads the floor. But I think a player of Stojakovic, and this is personal, not basketball, a person of his stature, I just don't think you can have him come off the bench. I really don't. That's not probably the right thing to say, and it's a great question. I mean, it really is. But I think if the team changed and the offense changed, I don't want to say you flip and go back, but I would if you're going to start Andre. But then maybe he's okay with it. But do they look better? I think the floor. Even when Kyler Boswell was out, Jake is a different animal, than Andre and Kyler because he's a 3-point shooter, and he makes them much more dangerous on the perimeter than Kyler and Andre. Even though they can both shoot threes, he's just a better 3-point shooter.
And I think the other thing that's really interesting is Stojakovic only played 18 minutes and still had 22 points and about as efficient as you get. 22 points on 7 shots, was constantly at the free throw line because he attacked it. Let's take a look at the stats for that, just for those people who haven't seen them yet. You're looking at Merkovich with 14 points, Boswell with 12, Tomislav with 10, Jake with 12 points, and actually led the team with 7 rebounds on top of it all. Wagler with 10 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Lee got 4 points. Stojakovic 22 with 3 boards. Rickhouse had scored 11 with 6 rebounds. And you had Big Z with 4 points and 3 boards. You had Petro even got a basket in there and had a really nice alley-oop. So a good night for Illinois there. In terms of shooting, Illinois was a 52% clip compared to 37. So another sub 40, defensive performance for the Illini. So something you really like to see. Additionally, Illinois shot 45% from the 3, 13 for 29, 39 for USC. Illinois 92% from the free throw line. If they'd got that in a couple other games this year, they wouldn't have losses. 24 for 26, 9 turnovers. They won the points off of turnovers, 22-9. Total rebounds, they won that 41-30, including. They ended up with 17 second chance points to 12. 43 bench points to 24. And so having Stojakovic come off the bench really makes that stat look a little better. 36 points in the paint, 19 fast break points to 1. So much for USC going to push the ball against Illinois. 7 blocks to 2, 7 steals to 5, 21 assists to 16. And Illinois led for 38 minutes and 58 seconds. That's about as much as you can lead a game. And, so when you look at that, you're thinking, well, that's a heck of a performance by the Illini. And then if you go into the individual stats, where again, I realize that these are something that, we look at, and the plus minus is a little bit different, but you had Wagler at plus 33, and then you had Boswell at 29. Then you're looking at 26 for Humrickhouse, 23 for Stojakovic, 21 for Jake Davis, 10 for Merkovich, Tomislav 17, and then you're at 18 for Big Z. So quite a night there. And Brad, we'll be talking about this later in the week on the radio show, but when you're on the road and you go 1.464 points per possession, you've been covering Illinois for quite a while. Is that a common event?
Tis not a common thing to have happen. To score that well on the road. I got to have a shout out to Stojakovic too. If you remember early in the year, as he's coming back, and he was missed some free throws. Yep. Since conference play started, the dude is 52 out of 56 in conference games, 93%. That's better than his dad. I mean, it's really impressive what they've done, but you don't see teams, you don't score that kind of efficiency on the road very often. In fact, it is the best road performance, slightly better than Purdue was right now for this season. And even if we go back, what it was like? It was like the game, and they were not the same level team. Last year, you remember the games against Minnesota and Oregon? Those were kind of games where they just completely just decimated. But so when you can go back and pick out a game here or there each year, that's a pretty impressive performance, and especially against teams like this. And I think that's what makes this team so good. Is they are so they have such a great ability to score the basketball. And so many different guys that can do it, but at the same time, the key for them is can they guard well enough? And when they do that, they're pretty much they're one of the top probably 3 or 4 teams in the country when they guard. And I know people will say, well, USC's bad defense. I think I saw that. Currently, USC is a top 50 defense, and also they're 7th in the Big Ten in defense. That's not bad. I mean, that's not bad. And so you just got to realize their Illinois' offense is legendary good. They're up to 1.318 adjusted offensive efficiency, which is the highest in the history of KenPom.
Well, you got to like that.
Yeah, and that is something important to bring up. Ken, I know you talk about player of the game and stuff. How do you judge when you're looking at a player of the game? How do you judge it when you get 7 guys in double figures?
Well, tonight I gave the player of the game to Andre specifically because one of the reasons what Brad just mentioned, 9 of 9 from the free throw line, because he was a games high scorer and he had missed 2 games. So for me tonight was a little bit easier for him to get that. If I had to give a feel-good story or one of those awards that you give kids a participation award. And Brad, don't fall out of your chair when I say this, Brad, but I'm becoming a big, huge Ben Humrickhouse fan. I really am.
What? What's going on? What's going on in this world?
Listen, man. You know who was in the stands was Adelia. His wife was in the stands. So, but maybe he is going to be missed. Even now, I don't even lose another hair on my bald head when he misses a shot. It doesn't bother me anymore. It just doesn't. And he's ever since the Purdue game, I've seen him just catch and shoot and not think about it. I just, I'm glad to see he's having a really good senior year. He's doing what Illinois thought. And for some reason, players struggle. I see the comment.
Now we're gonna be liable for injuries of our viewers and listeners because of Ked.
But I'm sorry, I really am happy. I'm just he's having a good season, and I'm gonna tell you, that kid plays his heart out. He does it. He's a nice kid, and some of the criticism I gave him last year were probably not just due, but I was just me being frustrated because I knew how good of a shooter he was, and I remember talking to Jeff Alexander telling me how good he was, and I never saw it. And kind of same thing with Keaton Weigler, which I want to comment about him whenever we get a chance, fellas.
Yeah, the one thing about you mentioned Ben, I think that where Ben's made strides is he's got the, you realize he has the second lowest turnover rate in the country. Like, he doesn't turn the ball over. He's increased he blocks shots. He's doesn't foul. His defense has improved. He's rebounding so much better than he did a year ago. Obviously, he's made some shots. He's gotten better shooting from two. He's making free throws, 79% from the line. Effective field goal percentage of 52.2. He's doing it in conference play too. He's got the 8th highest offensive rating in conference play. So he's just a great role player. You know what I mean? You got to have guys like that because he doesn't need the balls. He doesn't need the ball in his hand to be he doesn't have to have shots, whatever. If he shoots, great. If he doesn't, just do the little things. You mentioned, so what's ankle gate? Can we have ankle gate here?
Yeah.
He healed awful fast, didn't he?
He had some lift for a guy with a bad ankle.
Oh my gosh, I know. And people are asking me, I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. He just didn't look hurt to me, but maybe, I don't know. Who knows? But it doesn't matter. He's here. He's on the West Coast. I expect him to play well again Saturday, so we take it for what it's worth. Dawes, let me ask you real quick, but I know we're not going to be on long because people have to get up and go to work tomorrow morning, so thank you for being a part of this. But I'm a little bit frustrated with how Keaton Weigler is being played. The TV didn't show it. Maybe Brad did this on purpose. I have a lot of friends who were at the game tonight, and they said Brad was coming unhinged, and there was a couple of times he thought he was going to get teed up. I don't ever want to see an only player leave, but I hope he does. I think he's tired of just getting physically hit, grabbed all the time. He can't go get the ball half the time. And think about this, fellas. There's a target on his back because he's good, and I totally understand that. I really understand that. But you're starting to see him throw his hands up a little bit. He's frustrated, and you can see it. He can't get shots on there without him trailing him, grabbing his jersey. I'm not asking for any Michael Jordan treatment. That's not what I'm saying. But it's getting old, and I'm going to tell you, this guy texted me and told me that they thought Brad was going to come unglued because he's tired of it, and you can see it.
Yeah, there was a play, especially one, it was early in the second half. He got the ball. He's down in the paint. I think he had an offensive rebound. I don't remember exactly what the play was, but the big guy jumped and landed on his back, and they didn't call a foul. And I thought Brad was sitting down, and he just stood up, and he kind of lost it there. I mean, you could see. But that's how teams are guarding him. I thought USC was maybe not as bad as others because at least he got to the rim a few times without getting grabbed and held. But he did it a lot. I mean, that Michigan State, you're right. Michigan State kind of tried to do that. But, I think other teams have done it. It's not like he's still really efficient. He's still really good. They even called a couple of fouls for holding him off the ball. By the way, did you notice Illinois is running they're running a few more sets now on offense?
Yes, I've noticed it, Brad. Yes,
it's not. I mean, they had just been free and things. But they're starting. I think that as they got, that makes me more dangerous, right? When you actually, they've been just playing with flow, and they're using him on a lot of these sets as like a decoy. Now that you have Boswell on the ball, you can run Keaton off different screening actions. And you either go with him, or you get Tommy cutting, you got different things, and so a lot of that stuff, or you got Merck on the other side. There's so much spacing, so many, and when he's cutting, and they're using him as like kind of a decoy type thing. It's opened up other guys for shots, and man, it's fun to see an offense that executes this well.
Well, maybe Tyler's listening to us because I mentioned that last time. I think the first play had come out of the second half, they drew that backdoor play up for Keaton for a layup, and I think he missed it, or maybe a couple plays afterwards. But a comment here too. I'm agreeing. With all the touch fouls you saw tonight, I thought Keaton should have got more free throws, but maybe he should start flopping. Everybody else does it.
Yeah, it's a real challenge to figure out how to do that. And at the same time, he's shown still holding his composure quite a bit better. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Kofi. Remember, Kofi was probably fouled every time he got the ball, and rarely had calls and didn't seem to usually let it bother him too much. And of course, if Illinois gets the benefit of a good whistle come Saturday night at UCLA, Mick Cronin may go nuclear. It seems like he's trying to get fired out of the job at UCLA by getting mad at the players. Could ground zero be Mick going nuts because Illinois is shooting too many free throws?
Mike, I want to see Zeno ask him a really controversial question about the student section or something, just to see if Zeno can get a good response. No,
where's Matt when we need him?
Matt can do it, right? Matt can get under his skin. They have no. It's interesting. You mentioned the Wagler thing. You have a fine line. Like you have a fine line here as a coach because you want to advocate for your player. But you don't want your player to start looking for calls. Yep. You don't or worrying about calls.
Like
you know what I mean?
So, Merck does that.
Yeah, and so you want there's a fine line. Like you want to make sure that your guys understand you've got their back, but you also want to make sure that you're not getting your guys starting to whine about calls, get angry about calls, things like that, and lose their composure.
Yeah.
No, but and I'll tell you what, our media colleagues out there that are going to the game, and you have to deal with Coach Cronin, get your cape and your baseball helmets and masks so you don't get hit by this guy. He is losing it. I mean, you talk about unprofessional. I mean, he's frustrated, and I get it. And I'm really curious to see if he's going to be thrown out Saturday because he's trying to get fired. The national media is all on him and watching him, and and I that's great. I don't want to going back to Keaton. Because I know UCLA needs a win. I hope they're not physical. I hope he doesn't get hurt. But anybody can see Keaton is frustrated. I'm glad he doesn't show emotion. And I like the fact that Coach Underwood sticks up for him. But when Brad makes a comment, and then he'll be nice and he'll smile and walk away, I wouldn't do that. Because to me, I think they're winning. And I'm not looking, again, for Michael Jordan or LeBron James treatment. But you can't grab kids when every trip down the court is a foul, and then they're doing this. Because if I'm bad, I'm just going to tell them, this is the best player on the floor. They want to keep him out of the game. If they're grabbing a hold of him, be consistent with it. Because it is frustrating. And I want this kid to go out at Illinois remembering him the way he is. Even kill kid, doesn't show an emotion, he doesn't get rattled, doesn't get upset. But it's really I think it's affecting his game a little bit. To a certain extent, I really think it is.
It very well could be. It's hard to tell, but the one thing I like about him is he still seems to be trying to find what he can take based on what the defense has given up, and I think that's a very mature trait that's hard to really replicate that. But the other thing I wanted to say is, did Boswell increase his draft status with that dunk tonight? Because we keep hearing, he's heavy-legged, he can't jump that high, blah, blah, blah. Well, that was a heck of he got up on that puppy. So if I'm him, that's going on every video that I send out to NBA guys from now on.
Yeah, I think I've said it for a long time that I feel like he's explosive. I feel like he can he's got a lot more explosion than people think. And so, but that's one of those things. where you put that out and you see this. You heard his comment the other night. He said those guys are in the NBA next year. I'm going to be guarding them.
Yeah,
he is a fantastic defender. He has the strength. He has that strong lower base where he can hold his ground against anybody. He can move his feet laterally. He can stay in front of people. Man, I think that it's a tough ask because he's 6'1", right?
Yep.
And so it's hard to play at that level. But I'm not going to bet against him because he's tough. He competes, and he's got some game that can correlate. Maybe not as a starter, but you could use a guy like that who can come in and be a kind of a lockdown defender at times. I think the one thing he's got to be able to do is knock down open shots at a consistent pace. If he does that, then he's got a chance.
Yeah, he needs to be more consistent there. As far as knocking down threes, it's going to be nice to have a guard like him in the tournament. Because in the past, Illinois played guards, and the last I remember is Trent Frazier, who can put pressure on a guard like that and help your team defend. We were talking about our colleague Max Stevens. He just sent out a good tweet. Tonight's game against Southern Cal is the largest Illinois road game in the Big Ten history since 1946.
When they beat the University of Chicago.
Yep, January 19th. I mean, that's a big. And you know what? That's a big statement. I love all the national attention too. I love right now. You got to love this. If you're covering Illinois, you like them. The national media, so many national guys when they talk about Final Four who can win it all, probably 70-80% of those people you're going to hear somebody say Illinois, and I just think this is great.
Yep, no, that is a good one. So we're going to kind of wrap this up since we're hitting the midnight point. Ked, go through your final thoughts on this, and then Brad can kind of wrap it up, and then we'll let people get to bed and enjoy the Illini's victory.
I'm not going to talk about the game. The bottom line is they won. To me right now, I want Saturday's game. Get that win Saturday. Keep the pressure on Michigan. I mean, you got to put pressure on them because you play them, you beat them, and Michigan has to go play Michigan State again. So, and I want this win Saturday because if they can go 2-0 on this road trip, that is huge on so many levels. And the seeding matters to everybody. But if they can get a 2 seed, it gives you a much better chance to continue to play and advance in the tournament.
Bradley?
Yeah, I think that it's fun to see these guys back healthy. This team does have, when you have 8 guys now that you can put out on the court, a really solid 8-man rotation who can all do things. This team has the depth that is necessary to make a run deep in the tournament. They also have the star power. Whether it's Wagler, whether it's Merkovich, whether it's Boswell, whether it's even a Tommy, who can really step up and take over a game. So many guys, and the pieces all fit well together with your shooters in Humrickhouse and Davis, and then you've got your Z, who's the best rim protector in college basketball, arguably. This is a team that has all the pieces. You just got to keep executing, keep doing those things, and I'm excited. I think if they win, Saturday, that puts them in a really good spot to go into that Michigan game thinking that not only they have a chance at a 1 seed, but maybe even a Big Ten title, because Michigan still has, obviously the rivalry game with Michigan State, which is not going to be an easy game. So, yeah, this team's got everything in front of them. I mean, this could be the team that we see get to the Final Four, and literally they're one of the teams that they're talking about. People are all talking about cutting down the nets. Now you just got to keep working on those little things. There's still a few bad shots here and there they take, a few bad decisions they make. Defensive communication, they had a couple breakdowns today, but overall, just a fantastic effort. And they're getting you want to get as close to perfection as you can, and they're growing and building and getting better each time they get on the court.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a team that's got a big future, and I liked seeing a little bit of changing up of defenses. I thought that was fun. and I do think this should be a really interesting matchup against UCLA. I think we'll see just how good Illinois can be on the road, and then that gives you a week to prepare for Michigan. I think Michigan will be a fun matchup, and we'll see, how that goes. But boy, this season has been one of the more enjoyable ones that I can remember over the last, long time, since I'm old. And I'm all for keeping this going as long as possible. So we will be back, folks. We're still a little bit in the air, a little bit up in the air on the schedule on Saturday, but we will be back, and we look forward to seeing you. Of course, join IlliniGuys.com. You can join there for $99 a year. Get in on the message board, find out about things that are happening before they happen, find out about mysterious injuries before anybody else does, and figure out and have discussions about what's going on. We'd love to have you there. And of course, anytime you can like a video and share us on social media, it really helps us as well. Until next time, folks, go Illini.